Hey y'all, this is the next photography lesson on white balance, and it isn't just about the color white. If you can call white a color, isn't white the absence of color? Why is white balance in the color correction portion of this class? White balance settings in the camera assist in capturing natural colors. If your white is not a true white in your photo, then your other colors are not going to be their natural colors either. And so that's why this is in this section of our class outline, because the white balance actually really does affect all of the colors in each photo, not just the white colors. Without the correct white balance, the photo may be tinted, such as blue or yellow. I'm sure you've all seen these photos where they come out and they're not quite the color you saw in the room. Maybe you're at a wedding and they have a nice red carpet down the middle of the church and all of your photos are tinted red, or you have a nice room with a blue walls and your mom's face is tinted blue. I'm sure you've seen these type of photos. This is because the white balance is wrong in your camera. What affects white balance? Different light sources carry different color temperatures, and we're going to talk all about that in detail in this video. Also, light bounces off objects and throws a color cast onto the pictures. That's what's happening in your churches, where the red carpet, the light's bouncing off of it, and then everybody is looking red, or you have green walls and everything in the room looks green. But so sometimes it's because the light's bouncing off those objects. Sometimes it's because, as it in the first thing here, different light sources carry different color temperatures, such as you've seen, of course, at a concert where there's different color lights, but sometimes the light source might be a light bulb that might be more of an orange, or sometimes it might be the sunlight as the day is going down, or on a cloudy day, which might be more of a blue temperature. The RGB of it. So this I'm throwing out there for you just to help you understand, because as you understand your Photoshop or Photoshop Elements program, it helps you to understand your camera. Different kinds of light have different amounts of red, green, and blue. So if you are observant here, you see red is the R in RGB, G is the G, and B is the blue. The first letters of red, green, blue are RGB. For instance, a candlelight has more R for red, so we know candlelight is often that more creamy orange color, and so it has more red in it. And a clear, pretty sky would have more B, or more blue, in it. Let's look at the color picker in Photoshop Elements. You see here where I have circled in red, it has RGB. Of course, I have a lesson in Course 1 that really goes into all of this in much more detail. But you see that the R for red has 236, whereas the green and the blue have 19 and 39. That's because the red has more R in it. Whoops, wrong way. The blue has 236 next to the B, so it has much more of the B color in it. So different kinds of light have different kinds of RGB. Some may have more blue, some may have more red, and that, I think, helps you to understand a little bit more about light and color. Color temperatures are measured in kelvins, though. When you're talking about color temperatures in your camera, you're not going to be talking about the RGB. You're going to be talking about kelvins. A kelvin of 500, or not 500, 5,000. 5,000 kelvins is neutral. It's where you would have no color casts of blue or yellow or extremes. This is a very baseline. Now 3,000 Kelvin is orangier. It's warmer. So if your Kelvin number goes down, you're going to get the warmer colors. 9,000 Kelvin is bluer or cooler. So the larger your Kelvin number, the cooler the colors, or the more blue your colors. Now I don't have it here on my PowerPoint slide, but if you take out a and this is also in that color lesson in course 1. Go back and review it if you haven't read that or studied up on that one. But if you take out a color wheel and note the color wheel, your warm colors are all going to be on one side and your cooler colors are all going to be on the other side. It really pays to study and observe those color wheels when you're thinking about these sorts of things. So we have on the left column color temperatures, and on the right column light sources. These are the basic, most common light sources, and we remembered here the lower numbers are more orange and the higher numbers are more blue. So we have the candlelight being a low number as our most orange color. And then you move up from that, the tungsten, which is actually the little filament in the bulbs, the light bulbs in your house. That's what the little filament is called. and tungsten is just so hard to say to me, but a tungsten bulb is also very yellow. So that's why a lot of times if you're in a house and you are having trouble photographing, and the people seem all orange. I know you've all done this before. It could be either from the light bouncing off the color of your walls or from the color of your wooden floors. That's where I have the problem in my house. I have a lot of wood floors. Or it could be from the bulbs, the actual light source. And so you would need to adjust the white balance in your camera. The next one up is sunrise or sunset, or it's also known as daylight. But you know a sunrise or a sunset, the light, you take those photos, think of a sunrise photo, and what do you think of? A nice orange glow. And so that's the next one up. And then you have fluorescent lamps, which are a little different than the bulb lights in your house. And then you have the electronic flash, which is actually that flash from your camera. And note that that's right around that 5,000 mark. And then you have daylight with a clear sky and the sun straight overhead. It's getting less orange than if it were sunset or sunrise. And then the next one up, 65,000 6,500 is a moderately overcast day, and 9,000 to 10,000 is shade or a heavily overcast day. I know that you might be familiar with, if you've taken photos of people in the shade. Shade is cool. I mean, think about it. You feel cooler in the shade than you do at other places. So the photos are going to naturally be much bluer. Sometimes you have to sit and just think about the logic of these things and visualize them in your head. You can visualize the candle is really orange, and you can visualize that the shade is cooler, and you can visualize the sunrise, and taking time to do that is really going to help you to understand your camera better. So low numbers orange, high numbers blue. Warmer and cooler. Now let's look at the white balance presets in your camera. And this is actually the graphic that you're going to be making for this class. Actually, for this lesson, I want you to make the graphic and show me some sample photos. So this lesson is going to have a two-parter to it. But this is going to go in that little booklet we're making. I haven't actually put mine together yet because I'm still making the lessons. But this will really help you because, as you're going to see when we watch the video here in a bit, my camera presets do not go in the correct order. It is so frustrating. Once I realized that they don't go in the correct order, it opened up a whole new world to me. This is the correct order. And so this cheat sheet is going to be a great benefit to you to keep on hand, especially if your camera does not go in order. You see here, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but here on the left above tungsten we have where it says warmer, and above shade we have cooler. This is how we were just discussing in the previous slides, how it naturally looks. And ignore this up here for right now. The auto white balance, the Kelvin, and the custom we're going to get to later. Those are not things really for this chart. It just kind of helps to have all the symbols on there to make you aware of everything. We're looking at this center section here. So we know the tungsten, the little light bulbs, these are what the icons look like in your camera, are going to be much orangier, and in the shade the light source is going to be much bluer. But what happens in the camera, and this may be a little bit confusing for you, but I think once you think about it, opposites are confusing, but once you think about it for a while, it's going to make more sense. And once you use this little cheat sheet, it's going to make more sense. If you want to fix something that is a warmer color or orange, you need to add blue to it. So your tungsten setting in your camera is actually going to make your photos look bluer. So you're going to learn this actually in the next lesson where we correct color cast in Photoshop and Photoshop Elements, and it'll help it all tie together a little bit better. But if you want to fix a color in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, you have to add in the exact opposite color. And you will see that in the next lesson, and all of this will come together even yet a little bit more. And so if you're actually under an orange light, you're going to want to add a blue tint to it to correct it. If you are actually under a bluer light, you're going to want to add orange to it to correct it. Now, this is also going to be helpful because sometimes you want to purposefully maybe make your photos a little bit more orange, like at night. If you have some downtown lights you're taking photos of, or Christmas lights or whatever, and you want them to make either look a little bit more blue or a little bit more orange, you can purposefully do that by using this chart. If you have some lights that maybe they're at night over a pool and you want them to look bluer, well, then you might try out this shade setting. Whoops, sorry, wrong one. Adds blue. Then you might try this tungsten setting for indoors to make that bluer. And if you are, downtown lights and you're wanting the street lights to look a little bit more orangey, you go to this add orange side and maybe use cloudy or shade for a night photo. So this chart is really, really helpful. First, you have to think about what the lights look like. The opposites are really confusing, in that tungsten is orange, and then think about the opposite that it has to have to fix it. So here is my point and shoot camera. You'll see here, we'll have a video later. It doesn't have as many options. It does have the auto white balance, and it does have incandescent, it calls it, rather than tungsten. It's still that indoor light bulb one. Fluorescent, daylight, and cloudy. But you can also use these same things and the same knowledge using these presets in your point and shoot camera to get the same sort of things. If you want something to look more golden orange, set it on cloudy. If you want something to look more blue, set it on incandescent and play and have fun. Using the chart that we made. If your screen shows the image with a cooler color, blue, so in other words, you've taken a picture and your picture is too blue, or you have a live preview, and in the live preview on your screen it looks too blue, move the setting down one. Okay, let's go back up. Okay, so your image is too blue. So it's too blue, it's cooler. So wait, it's cooler over here because it adds too much blue. Then you're going to move it down one setting. If it's still too blue, go down to the next one. If it's still too blue, go down to the next one. And keep playing with it until you get one that's good. That's what's so difficult about not having these in order in my camera. Because I want to be able to move down one step, and I don't know which one's the next step. I don't have these 5 things memorized, and I'm getting old and I can't memorize very well like I could when I was a kid. So I'm going to whip out my chart and go, okay, well, this one's not working. I'm going to take a step down and test this one. And so you can purposefully choose one. So you could be in the middle of daylight but not really use the daylight setting. Let's say it's in the middle of daylight and your image looks a little blue. What are you going to do? You're going to step down one and make it more toward the orange. I don't care whether it's daylight or not. Each one of these, look at them as a step toward adding blue or adding orange. Let's go back. So if your screen shows the image with a warmer color or more yellow or more orangish, move the setting up one. So then you're going the other direction. So if it's too warm, if it's too orangey, maybe you don't want those orange lights, street lights. Maybe you want them more blue. Then you're going to keep going up a step up on the chart. And therefore, the cooler light, you warm it up, and the warmer light, you cool it down. And do it in the order on this handy chart. That's what makes this chart so awesome. You're going to find, unless you can memorize these quickly, that this is so helpful. Don't get caught up in the names of the icons and their purposes. Instead, I almost wish you had them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of labeled like they are, but that's what it is. So I hope you understand how to use that chart. The auto and the manual settings in your camera. These are those other ones. The point and shoots only have auto. The DSLRs have the manual. So if you don't have a DSLR, then just listen and learn. And when you get one, you'll be a step ahead. So this is important for the auto, which is in both types of cameras. The auto white balance is most effective when the photo has at least one white object in it. So even if you are taking a landscape photo, if you can make sure that photo has, something white in it, even if it's just an itty bitty person, with a white shirt on, in the distance, that is going to make your auto white balance work better. If you don't have any white anywhere in the photo, even a little bitty part, then your auto white balance might not quite work well. And actually, the auto white balance doesn't work well, as we learned in previous lessons, for snow. What happens with snow? Snow is actually usually got a blue tint to it. So think about that. If it's got too much blue, then which way do you want to move on your chart? You might want to go play with that. Use a white card or a gray card for the custom setting. So the setting that says custom, you're going to want to use a white card or a gray card, and we're going to watch a video in a moment that shows you how to do that. That I recorded just a short while ago. And I haven't actually bought my white card or gray card, and I really want to rush out to the store and get one now. I wanted to get one for so long because I have had sometimes so much problem with most of the time when I'm taking photos in churches. They're the worst. I don't know why. Weddings, man. So get the white card or the gray card, and I've heard they're inexpensive. You can get big, huge ones, but little ones work. Know the Kelvin temperatures to manually set the number. So way back here, there's the Kelvin temperatures. So if you want to take this and make that into another cheat sheet, which I think I'm going to be doing for myself, and I may even offer it for you if I remember here in a download in this lesson, so you can have it too. I'll just get a screenshot of this right here as it is. There's a setting on your camera for K, and you're going to see that in the video. So you have to know this chart here in order to effectively do that manual setting for K on your camera. So this covers those three special ones on your camera: the auto white balance, the custom settings, and the Kelvin temperatures. And we're going to watch some videos right now to help you, teach you how to use those settings in your camera. Okay, here we are on my patio, and I've been taking some photos to test and play, and I'll be showing you these in the PowerPoint But I've got my potted plant and my tea in my cup, and I've been taking shots of this just to play. But this video portion is to share with you how to do the settings in the camera, and you'll have to bear with me. My husband's at work today, and so I don't have a videographer, and I'm using my cell phone in one hand and my left hand to get into the camera. Right here is the white balance, and there's two places you can set this in my Canon anyway. You're going to have to read your manual, but I just hit this, and then this button down here I can use to scroll through and choose my white balance. Okay, the other place that you can do this, let's see if I can do this without much of a cast. You know, I think anywhere I go I'm going to get a little bit of it. Anyway, so here is the info, the menu, and you see here on the second tab, the red tab, you have white balance and custom white balance. On this one here, I'm scrolling back and forth with this to go up and down. I'm going to hit this button to choose this one, and then I can, let me just back up a little bit, scroll the wheel to choose the new one that I want, and click OK, and click off menu and take my photo. So you can go in the menu and change it, but this, we're going to put it back on auto white balance so I can show you how to set the custom white balance. Now I have a piece of paper, just a piece of white paper here, and I've already taken a photo of it because it's hard to do that while I'm filming at the same time. And you can go out to the stores and buy, and I don't have one, I may go get myself one today because I've been wanting one for a long time, custom white balance cards that come in like white, black, and gray. I've actually tried this little calculator because it's gray, and thought that might work. Didn't work too well. I don't think it's exactly 50% gray. I've heard things like Pringles can, that is a 50% gray. That little foil on the inside of the lid. But I searched around my house and I couldn't find anything in my kitchen to grab. Sometimes you can find something, but just let's go out and get our cards so we have them handy. And here's how you use the cards. You go into this setting and you choose white, choose custom white balance, and then it defaults to your last photo. Now if I had more photos in here, I would be able to, you know, scroll to choose which photo. But you choose the photo of your white card that you took, or your piece of paper, or something gray, and you just click down here and then scroll over to OK and select that. And now I'm going to have to hit OK again, and now the white balance is set to that picture. So I'm going to go back up to my settings and change this back to this 2 triangles with the dot. That is custom. You see it says custom here. It kind of helps. I find that I cannot, even though this is faster, because you have less things to click. You know, you just click here and then start scrolling. My eyes are getting bad. I can't really see what the little symbols are, so I kind of like going in here because I can actually see them. And so then you select this and you take your picture. Now if as we're discussing in the PowerPoint, you want to set the Kelvin exactly, and I'm going to be showing you that in the PowerPoint. You select this one and you see right next to it, it's got a little, it looks like the dial up here with the little ridges to help remind you. I need those reminders. So what I'm going to be doing is moving this up here, and you're going to see it changes the kelvins. So if you want to manually select them, mine go up by 100 and they go all the way up to 10,000. So if I want to set this on 10,000, I would scroll up to that and hit this, and it would be set, and there it is confirmed. I found I forgot several times to hit this little button to select it, but then you can go down. Mine goes all the way down to just trying to get less reflection in there, all the way down to 2500, and I can select that and use that. So sometimes I think this is fun because once you memorize and learn, or use our cheat sheet that we're creating for ourselves, then you'll be able to manually set it somewhere to get some kind of cool effect. Like, let's say you want the lights of a downtown scene at night to be more orange. You can manually choose that setting. And so try to always remember to return it to around 500 or 5200, I think was the default on my camera, so that next time you go in and play, you will be able to easily use it. And the auto white balance is something you might want to always return your camera to when you're done in a particular setting, so that the next time you pick up your camera and you're in a rush, you don't mess up that photo. Of course, we can always fix them in Photoshop though. Okay, a couple of more things I've noticed when I was actually watching this play as you were watching it. I think I mentioned that the gray on the back of the calculator did not work well, but when I downloaded the photos, it actually worked pretty good. I was incorrect about that from when I was just playing with the camera. Another thing is, let's see if I can find it here on the video. And then I can right here when we're looking, right here when we're looking at this and going through these, I didn't notice it before, but it says the Kelvin here. This one happens to be shade, approximately 7,000. So this is helpful for you to observe that and try to commit that to memory every time you go through here and utilize this. If you're doing it just from the top of your camera up here, you're not going to be able to see that. And so that if you're trying to go up or down the scale, let's see what the next one is. To choose cloudy was 6,000. So we know that the lower the number, the warmer it is. So, but yet we know that a cloudy day is bluer, but yet the lower number is getting oranger. So anyway, you can help think about that as you scroll through. Let's go to the next one. So tungsten is 32. So on my camera, I can use this, and let's say maybe, these of course are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 settings on the camera that I have available in the presets. But if I really am not quite getting it, I can observe what this is when I test it, and then go over here and manually set the Kelvin up or down from there using my little cheat sheet card. And so I just kind of wanted to add that as a thought. And let's go close this out. It's going into a not responding mode. There it goes. And I have another one with the point and shoot ready to go here. So let's watch it. Okay. Okay, here we are with my point and shoot camera, and I'm going to show you where you can get to the white balance functions on your point and shoot camera. I have to be in this program mode for to be able to see. You see, I lose the settings if I go to auto or scene or any of the others. I have to be in this P mode, in this program mode, and once I am there I can scroll down, and of course you're going to have to read your manual. Yours is going to be a lot different than mine. Here is WB for white balance, and this is auto, and so that's what it looks like on auto. And I love this camera because it gives me I almost wish that my Canon would do the same thing, but this camera gives me a preview of what it's going to look like. And so I can scroll through, and you see I have for daylight, but they call it sunny, and it doesn't look too bad. I'm actually outside, so it's actually a cloudy day outside, so I probably got some overcast, so you see this isn't too bad either. But if you move to the incandescent, it corrects it and it looks too blue. That's because I'm not under incandescent lighting. If I were, that would fix it. The incandescent lighting would be really orange, and so you would need to make it a little bit bluer to adjust for it. And here is fluorescent. Doesn't look too bad. And then we're back to white balance auto. So I don't have a whole lot of choices in mine, but that is where you find those settings. Okay, let's close out this video and back to our PowerPoint presentation. And I have these photos that I took in the videos, or actually right before the videos, to share with you. And here's one. Actually, I took these. I sat down in my kitchen and I just wanted something all white. And this is what you're going to be doing in the second part of your lesson. You're going to be setting something up on your table or wherever. It doesn't have to be all white. It could be like what I did out in the backyard. And just take a photo of each white balance in your camera, and then put them all together and show me the graphic and tell me what you have learned. That's going to be the second part of your lesson. So this one is actually auto white balance, and as you're going to see here in a minute, I think the auto white balance actually did the best out of all of them. And here is the next one. Now these are in the correct order. So this would be tungsten, and you can see how blue it is. I did this actually with absolutely no overhead light. My light in my kitchen was not on. The light you see here is actually coming from the windows outside. So if I'd had my light on in the kitchen and used this tungsten, it would have given even a different look than this. But I wanted to show you that how blue it was with just normal lighting. And the next one up, you can see it's still got that blue tinge to it. This reminds me of what you see when you take a photo of snow. And the next one up on the chart, I don't have them memorized, is this one. And you can see it's less blue, and it's actually closer to that auto white balance. This is even closer to the auto white balance, but you can see it's beginning to get that warmer color to it. And this is even a little bit more warmer, and this is even a little bit more warmer. You can see the orange tint to that photo. And here they all are. I just took a screenshot of them in my folders. I labeled them in order. Number 001 is the auto white balance, and you can see, if you can pause this video and look at this for a bit if you want. This is the auto white balance actually did the best of them all, and so auto white balance actually works very well. The numbers here that I have are actually for my own benefit. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the same order as in our cheat sheet chart, but the second set of numbers represents the order they were in my camera. So actually the daylight is first in my camera, and then the shade, and then the cloudy, and then the tungsten, and then the fluorescent, and then the flash. So as I went around on the top of my camera, this was the settings on the top of my camera, that's the order that they were, the second set of numbers. And you can see they're totally not even in a backwards order. They're just totally random, and that drove me nuts. So anyway, as you can see, we have the good one, which is auto white balance, then it's way too blue, and then this one actually almost has a little bit of purpley in it, and this one is pretty close to the auto white balance, which would make sense because I said the light was coming from, it was the morning light, but it was still daylight coming from the windows that was my source of light. And this one actually is, if you compare it to the auto white balance, you can see it's warmer, and as it goes up you can see this one is the warmest, but it's not pure white like this one is more pure white. So it really does work if you put them in order. Now the manual samples again, but this time we're moving outdoors, which is where I was taking it when I filmed the video. And here is the picture. This is actually the one I used the manual custom settings. This is set to that white piece of paper, and so I set it to custom based on that white piece of paper, and this is what it looked like, and it actually turned out pretty good, I thought. And here, I'm not going to go through all of them like I did the last set, but here is all of them, same thing, in order, a screenshot from my folders. I put them in order by the way I numbered them. And this is the auto white balance up here, and if you look at it and look at this one, which is this picture here, is this one down here, manual with white paper, and this one manual with gray paper, you're going to see that they all look very similar. So the gray paper didn't do too bad. Actually, the gray paper almost might be whiter by slightly bit. I think these two actually are just ever so slightly better than the auto white balance, but you can see that they did work. So if I did have some sort of color cast coming from my walls or red carpeting or something, the card that you can get in the store to carry with you would be very helpful to get this metered correctly. Same thing as the last time. You see the tungsten is blue because I don't have any yellow lighting coming in on me. And this one's, the fluorescent, is actually a little purple again. And then we have daylight, flash, cloudy, and shade. And actually I kind of liked the shade one, because if you see in the background, let me go back, there's this fence up here, and this fence, I mean, it looks good here, this is a good one, but I actually kind of liked it when it was more of this golden color. Again, that's always the mood that you want to set as an artist in your photos. You don't have to have it natural like this one right here with the white balance perfect. You can purposefully make something a little oranger to set the mood of the photo. And in a way, I kind of liked the wood back there being a little bit more oranger, so it gave a whole different feel to that photo. So definitely use these to your advantage. And this is the set when I went through, and I only did 4 using the Kelvin setting. And the lowest one is definitely blue. It's bluer than any one of these photos. This one's pretty blue, but it's obviously not all the way down as low as it'll go to the 2500. And look at how orange this 9000 is. This 4000, you can see, is pretty close to a good white balance. But this one here, I like the golden. I don't know what it is, but you can definitely see how the tinting changes from a blue to orange as you move up the numbers. So that's it for this lesson. 2 things. Make the chart that I'm giving you the Photoshop file for. Make it for your camera. It comes with each of the little icons on its own layer, so you can, if you don't have that one in your camera, you can just delete that layer and kind of reposition things, and it's not going to be too hard to do. And then second, get out there and take a series of photos and show me your samples, just like this or just like this, and you know, put them in order and show me that what you've learned from this. If you want to take it a step further, like in my kitchen photos here, tungsten, I mean, I was in the kitchen. I could have turned on my overhead light, I guess, and taken it a step further and taken the same shot in different lighting is what I'm saying. I could have changed the lighting rather than changing the camera setting. If you want to do that and show us some of those samples, how you've learned, I bet you if I would have turned on my light, this one wouldn't be as blue if I would have turned on the light in my kitchen, because the tungsten is supposed to correct those. So just show me how you've learned from this lesson, and I really look forward to seeing what you do with this.